Hi! Today we're trying to fit a computer case into the IKEA Kallax bookshelf. The case I have chosen is the Thermaltake Core V21. It has roughly the same dimension as the bookcase, and we'll see if we can modify it to fit it perfectly. So this is my situation today. Two clumsy computer cases on the floor. To achieve a cleaner look, I want to move them into the IKEA bookcase, and this is where the new Thermaltake case comes in. But I need to make a few adjustments to make it perfect. Okay, so the first problem will be the height then. The difference between the Kallax and the case is 0.6 millimeter. And my hopes are that we can just fix that with just adjusting the feet. And I looked into this a bit before, and on the feet there are some small pads. So you see if we can remove just them and see if that's good enough. Now let's go check if it fits. Perfect. Now we know that works. Now we need to see if we can do something about the length. And then we need to remove the front. Oh. So as you can see, the front is quite big. So my hope is that we can remove some stuff in the front. So let's see what's in the front then. We have the front I/O connector. Let's see, then we have the fan. And as you can see here, we have quite a lot of space inside the case as well. So maybe we can put the fan there. So this is just connected with 4 screws. Okay, so let's screw this in place. So now we have the fan mounted on the inside. And next up is the screw for the front I/O connector. And then there are some hooks, so you just gently push this upwards. Be careful with the cables. Whoop. Now it's time to construct a new place for the I/O connector on the back side of the case. This will require some heavy labor, so let's head outside. I'm thinking of this place down here. There's a holder for the hard drives there. But I'm not going to use so many of these bigger hard drives, so this is a perfect place for me. I start by cutting a hole just big enough for the I/O's buttons, then cleaning it up to avoid sharp edges. Okay, so let's see how this looks. Looks really good actually. Now you just need to find some way to stop this from moving. This might actually work. I think we're done with all the heavy labor. So now let's head in and wrap this up. Next I'm going to fasten the I/O to the back side of the case to restrict its movement. I decided to use these threaded pins to make a cleaner look. The space between the pins is a bit too wide, so I apply a nut to make the space narrower. By adding 2 pins, one on each side, I have partly stopped the movement in y-axis and the rotation in x. But to achieve a robust construction and stop the remaining movements and rotations, I will add 2 more pins. By adding the nuts, I intentionally made it too narrow. Soldering in the plastic will solve that, and let me achieve the perfect tight fit I'm after. Now I'm done soldering. Let's see if it fits. Perfect. To hold the I/O in place, I put a hard drive sled between the USB connectors and fixate it against the back of the case. The hard drive sled is kept firmly in place by a snap fit. And voila! A new home for the I/O. Now let's head over to the front of the case. As you can see here, there's still some things sticking out here. Let's see what that is. Other than that, the front is very clean now. Remove the top. What's sticking out in the front here is the connection for fans, if you want them in the top. We saw before that it's really tight. We won't be able to have any fans in the top anyway, so we can just remove these. Yes, so next thing we need to fix is something to cover the front. Initially I had some different ideas about this. My first idea was to have some wood to resemble the bookshelf. But I ended to scrap that idea and moved on to another idea where I used the old front, but just the metal piece of it. But I ended up scrapping that idea as well and go with something that resembles the boxes I have in the bookshelf now. Because that's another way to hide things. Just make it look like something else in the proximity. So I went out and bought a similar box which had this middle part and these corner parts and this metal strip that goes in the bottom of the lid. First I made this prototype where I cut out where the fan is supposed to have this inlet. This middle detail. Made something that looked at the lid and just the corners. And it to look something like this. And I thought it looked quite good. And to cover the hole, you can use this mesh cover from the side panels and just slap it on because it has magnets, and just add something that looks like the paper boxes. I bought this foam board and cut the hole and brought some blue paper and added the metal strips on top, and I think it looks quite nice.